I'm gonna bump that up above mine.
I'm being nice to you. Invite me onto your channel, the Codecast. I'm being nice, okay?
Well,
I mean, I'm genuinely anyway. But...
yeah, you need to be sneakier with your niceties. All right, it's just too obviously wrong.
I'm like, ZombieGrub could beat Cyril.
Oh my god. Sometimes I think that could face some pros, maybe some NA pros as off race and maybe like cheese them in a TVT or something, I give myself a little bit of credit.
Money.
Yeah.
I could see you like 3-raxing Star Killer, maybe getting a map in a best of 5.
Yeah,
maybe.
Exactly. But not against Cyril. I just laugh. I'd laugh. You'd be like, no, I'll give you 99 games and I'll give you $1,000 to try. And I'm gonna be like, nah. It's gonna be 99
I don't think Cyril would actually. I think you'd have to give him more than $1,000 to play 99 games against you.
No, I'd say he pays me to do it, and I still wouldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
I'd still be like, no, it's not. How many games I have to lose there? 45, 47? Something?
I don't think losing 99 games in a row is very good for your mental health.
I don't think it is.
So.
Oh, God.
Anyway, let's introduce our players. In the bottom right here, going for pull gas, or a gas pull, actually. This is Silky.
Mm-hmm.
Getting cheeky.
In the top left, as the blue Protoss, it is Roots puCK.
Badly with a horrible follow-up question. Would you rather have 7k MMR or 7k in USD? Oh my god! MMR. Of course 7k MMR. Everyone has 7,000 US.
Well,
not everyone, but
if you had 7k MMR,
when you're in your late 20s, early 30s, you generally have $7,000.
Yes, that is true. That's generally true. But even if you didn't, if you had 7k MMR, you could probably make $7,000 with it, and then some.
Yeah, you go to 1 WCS, and then your 7k MMR will make sure you make more than $7,000.
Yeah, like
You could probably get like top 4, at least.
That's a casuals question, That's a question that you trick people on the streets with. And then you point to Cyril, and you have like a picture next to you, and you're like, that guy made this much off of this much MMR.
You like go to a Best Buy and buy a new mouse or something, and then ask the guy behind the counter. That's that kind of.
Oh, thank you, Seriath, once again with 250 bits, which I'll be splitting with Maynard. So.
Oh wow, the Aussie, oi oi oi. That's a call. That's the siren call of my people. Thank you very much for 250 bits. That's it, 500 down. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I've made $2.50 this cast. Happy days.
I'll throw in the subs as well.
Oh my god!
Ah. Lordy.
I paid $10 this cast.
It's $10.
Fold money, party at Maynard's house.
Yeah. So there was like a pull first with speed, and I don't think anything happened with it. Did we just like entirely miss it, or did nothing happen? Nothing happened, right? He didn't actually make lings.
No.
Okay, just checking.
I think he's just switching gears, like changing his mind, perhaps, or maybe expected puCK to go for a cannon rush. puCK has been cannon rushing a little bit in some of these online tournaments, but I honestly think that was during the ladder qualifiers, and puCK was trying to get through the tournament really quickly. So it's kind of hard to say, because you have to play like a certain amount of ladder games per day for the ladder race.
Right, yeah, that's probably what excuse it. I mean, there are some Protosses who do not scout at all, or really early against Zerg, so could have worked, but we saw in the previous series, previous PVZ, that puCK scouted every single time, so not going to be something that Silky can get away with. So it's kind of a harsh thing to macro out of, even though everything looks kind of normal-ish now. It should still be detrimental, as third hatchery probably would have already been mining a little bit more, and maybe a few more drones, something along those lines, but it was not a solid economic start.
Yeah, certainly not. Overlord getting picked off there, and Silky is still in charge. He's not getting supply blocked. He's keeping on top of his macro very nicely. Oh, Oracle defense. Doesn't quite kill it. Gets away.
So we got... Was that all the 3 kills?
3 kills.
Rocks as well. Yeah. Okay, nice little Oracle. Considering it survives, it's always a nice Oracle, but it's gonna die very quickly at any other point. puCK was going for a lot of double, triple Oracle, kind of pushing off that Phoenix play versus Starkiller. At least 2 of the 3 of those games. This game he goes to 2, and that's normal, but no third, and he does get that Phoenix to at least get 1 or 2 Overlords, and then we have a rather common follow-up of double Robo. Maybe you know, the other follow-up being Twilight Council, Templar Archive, so on and so forth. But this is what we see often enough. 2 different choices, paths, I guess you can go through, and that will result in a lot of Immortals very quickly, but perhaps not the quickest charge or storm, right? So that's the takeaway. Oh, a Nydus worm.
The worm from down under. Let's see how this goes.
It's going to be a really oddly timed one. I mean, how often do you see Nydus worms nowadays anyway? Not very.
He
And
also
then,
doesn't have that many queens or roaches.
yeah, he's not building any more queens, which usually, unless you already have 6. Oh, okay, he already has 6. Okay, I guess that's enough. He has to bring every single queen forward, though, including the ones injecting.
Yeah. The oracles don't see the Nydus, by the way. They go into the main and tag the lair. Nydus is being made right in puCK's face here, by the way.
Yep.
Immortals are really amazing at killing the Nydus worm. He's chrono boosting them out as quickly as he can. Recalls the oracles, which can also kill the Nydus worm quite quickly.
Yeah.
And this is denied.
Okay. All right, so a couple things I guess we should explain. As someone who was here 4 months ago was like, what the hell? Nydus worms are targetable, but they have an extremely high armor, I want to say. So if you have like a 4 Hellions, you're not going to kill it. But you know what oracles do? They ignore armor. So that recall was really smart by puCK, and the Nydus worm looks really silly by Silky.
Yeah, so I think maybe last patch that would have looked a lot better. But I mean, yeah, no, last patch. Last patch was the one that the Nydus worm was invulnerable while burrowing.
Yep. Not so anymore. So it does, as I said, doesn't help versus like the early all-ins versus Terran really, but it does help, I guess, from those. Which I mean, this Nydus worm that Silky was doing was already kind of figured out. It felt by Protoss. I know there's always a chance it works. Now Silky's had 2 decisions that went quite poorly for him: the opening to this game and then the Nydus worm. Can he really bring it back from here?
Oh, he's going to try and go for the lurker option, and this small roach force certainly isn't going to get any critical damage done against puCK, who's really just following it around and keeping it away from his stuff. There's a small amount of lings that could potentially run by through the natural, but even then, you just warp in some zealots and you'll be fine. So I'm not really worried about puCK here at the moment. Actually, you know, speaking of the Nydus worm, I think with the intention with the Nydus worm is Blizzard wanted, because they made it so cheap to make the head of the worm now. I think they wanted to use it like a Zerg recall, like go for an attack and then drop the Nydus worm at like behind the attack so that you could retreat back home. Kind of like how it's, you know, the Nydus worm in Brood War is a little bit more like a defensive unit.
Nydus Canal, yeah.
The Nydus Canal.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's what they were thinking. I'm pretty sure when they talked about it, they talked about providing options to defend bases, if I'm remembering correctly. So you're right about that. It doesn't really work out that way. I mean, we could dive into the analytics about why StarCraft 2 and Brood War are different, but why would we?
Yeah, I mean, I like the theory behind having a Nydus worm to you know, bring your army back to safety quickly. Or
yeah, this theory.
I mean,
it's good.
The drone is going to be fine here, but this Phoenix has a lot of lift energy on it. Thank you very much, Kgan, for the tier 1 sub, by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Out, buddy.
But the Nydus worm being a retreat option is almost like, you know, it's also nice when Terrans repair all their medevacs all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually happen that often. There's reasons for it.
Big shade. There'll be a lot of dead drones here.
So, not too many drones go down, and really there hasn't been a super obvious lack of drones. As far as this game has gone, like we had 2, an opener and a Nydus worm that did not work out. That sounds really terrible. Silky has done a really good job just keeping his cool and macroing through it. It's his upgrades that have taken the biggest blow, though. You gotta sacrifice something when things go wrong. And in the case of lurkers, it makes the most sense to sacrifice upgrades. I like this, but he doesn't have a single upgrade here. And I'm not sure he was anticipating the Colossus, but we don't see many Colossus versus lurker dynamics. And we don't have extended thermal lance on the Colossus either, so I think the lurkers went out there defensively.
Actually, I think the lurkers might force puCK into either going like back into Immortal production or into yeah, he's gonna go into Immortal production. I was gonna say, or maybe Disruptor. It's another thing that puCK could potentially go for against lurkers. Colossi are a little bit too light on the splash damage against lurkers, especially when Adaptive Talons and Hive is done. You can actually just jump on armies and chase them down with lurkers. They become an aggressive unit. So.
Was giving a lot of Protoss a bit of trouble. For a while, that was the main goal of Zergs, was to get to Hive, not for Vipers, which can be useful even with High Templars. Not for Broodlords, but rather for that Lurker upgrade. That doesn't seem to be what people are skyrocketing towards nowadays, but it certainly is a good upgrade if you can get there. But Silky's a little ways from being comfortable going to a Greater Spire. He's starting a Spire. He's got his Hive, and that is going to be an option, as well as making Corruptors to deal with these Colossus if he thinks the Lurkers won't quite cut it.
He has late 8 workers going towards 9, so I think maybe Adaptive Talons is still worth it, considering these lurkers are his lifeline at the moment against puCK. Like, he needs to reposition his army quite a bit here to stop puCK from just attacking and potentially killing a hatchery. This army is very deadly.
Yeah, I would like to see the upgrade as well. But it is all about the defense. I mean, as far as Silky's mentality in this game, it could be we wouldn't know, but he might be thinking that he's so far behind and really just taking the wins where he can get them. So in this case, defensively. So, you know, he's thinking, okay, if I just get the Lurkers, I'll be fine. Okay, like, I'm good now, but I need to get the Broodlord to make sure that I don't die before then, right? And we'll re-see God Eye that everything is going rather smoothly, actually, like, kind of perfectly for the Zerg player. Perhaps he would have wanted to get Broodlords faster, but might not be what Silky's thinking about. You know, his only presence on this side of the map is a couple of scouting lings, which aren't correctly scouting the 4th. Oh, they scouted the 4th. And a couple roaches. That's it.
84 drones is like pretty good economy, yeah.
Yeah, no, Silky's totally fine. It's just, yeah, he's probably still a little scared of puCK. So not being aggressive on top of the army, which if he had Adaptive Talons, maybe he would be trying to get concaves and surrounds. But now it's purely about waiting for those Broodlords. He's got to make room for the Corruptors. I guess he has 20 supply. That's good enough.
And that's even, it looks like puCK's going to go for a Storm here. High Templar, though, going to die if it sticks around, by the looks of things, yeah. Not sure if that's worth for puCK. High Templar is still pretty useful. He is actually losing some supply here and going into carriers.
Oh, okay.
Carriers, are they... carriers have changed a bit in PvZ. It's like a little bit of them has been buffed, a little bit of them has been nerfed.
Right, so carriers don't expel their interceptors very fast at all anymore. Anna's made some funny tweets about it.
What's the thing they got buffed? The build time or the HP? I forget.
You know, that's a good
Something
question.
on the carrier got buffed as a result of making interceptors a little bit worse.
I think it was the build time. It seems faster than what I remember as I watched them. Some Protoss player out there inform us.
Looks like build time.
But for the exchange of not having interceptors fly out very quickly, they mostly have been donation. Considered worse, just straight up worse. Lots of memes have been made about them. And a couple are good to have just because the interceptors get really annoying to micro against. You know, they force Corruptors to stop. If they're not being microed correctly, suddenly they're shooting useless interceptors. I would like him to go into Tempest as well, but no, it's more carriers on the way.
To me, it feels like Tempest is just better.
Yeah.
But that's I am a Terran player. Could be just my game, just thinking about that. I'm not scared of carriers at all as a Terran player.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of whether you start with this, you know, at first, if the Zerg player's not pushing into you, or Terran player, or whoever, you're eventually going to get to the perfect army anyway. So you might start off with carriers, but then you add Tempest as necessary, or in case of them going Corruptors, which is kind of the best option, the only option as far as late game PvZ goes, you get Void Rays as well, right? So you're getting a mixed bag of things. It's just like, what do you start off with? What are you close to death with? And in this game, it's puCK's been in control. Silky, either because of the way this game has played out, or he wanted to play this game like this, I don't know. But he's been playing a very defensive game. And it has worked out for him well enough to get into the late game, but it also, like, ditto for puCK, right? So it's the age-old, you know, is this Zerg player thinking that this army that puCK's building is unbeatable, or does he actually have a way of dealing with it? It can look awfully frustrating, just storms blanket your Corruptors, you don't quite have your Spore Crawlers up to protect your Broodlords. Yeah. I mean, it can be very frustrating to play against.
He's also getting Neural here, which I like to see. You know, Pathogen Glands is already researched, and Neural is another way to deal with, like, Sky Toss armies. Grab some of those carriers or those Void Rays or those Tempests yourself and turn and fight the Protoss. And I feel like that could be the option here for Silky, especially considering his gas bank was looking a little bit low before because he was making some Broodlords and getting these upgrades, but now they're starting to catch up a bit. Silky's upgrades are still not very impressive, though. +1 Carapace is still not done. Yeah. And he's just got +1 melee and +1 attack, and that's it. +2 flyer, actually. So Silky just kind of looks like he's just getting out of a ground army and going into just a full, like, Broodlord Infestor army.
Yeah. That's what you gotta do. In some cases, Lurkers can kind of replace the Broodlords. I'll talk about that in a second. Lurkers still don't have their upgrade, and that just seems like a severe oversight now. He has the money, he has the time, it's missing. So that was a nasty loss there, and then his left side's gonna lose his hatchery.
Yeah, that's a lot of immortals here, and right-clicking on a hatchery is an easy done job here for them. They even catch a couple of lurkers that get a little bit too close. And yeah, these immortals will die, but puCK is intending to throw them away anyway. This is just, I'm going to lose these, I want to get rid of these units for something else, and let's see how much damage I can get done. And it looks like, killing a hatchery, forcing a cancel, getting some hydras and a lurker. Pretty worth.
Pretty worth, and now I might even get that lurker again. This is, in the grand scheme of things, Silky can replace it, but it's still really good damage for Unit 201 anyways. Really nice attack there from puCK, who's also using an opportunity to clear up more creep spread over here. Silky is losing control over the map because he never really had it in the first place and is just further lagging behind. But if he gets to that perfect army, then, puCK pushing into it is also still somewhat difficult. I don't want to seem like I'm totally on the Zerg side here, that Protoss Late Game army is totally overpowered. It does quickly fall one way or the other when someone makes a mistake, and so far it's been Silky making the mistakes. But to talk about the Lurker Broodlord thing, sometimes it honestly looks like Broodlords are only good for sniping High Templars, right? So that's why you get the Mothership to cloak them, and then the Abduct versus, that old thing. But the Lurkers can kind of do the same thing, especially if you can micro them faster than the Broodlords with the Adaptive Talons. So we've seen some other Zerg players, go for Lurkers instead of Broodlords, even though they're at the same point in the game. Obviously, Silky goes for Broodlords, but he's also doing something that's cooler than either one of those, which is Neural Parasite Infestors. I don't know how well it's going to work out, but I am looking forward to seeing it.
Looks like a lurker drop here in this Overlord, just trying to go a little bit of rogue here. Another guy that likes the lurker drop or a lurker run by into Mineral Alliance. And there we go.
By the way, it was build time reduced plus 50 HP and shields.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I knew that the carrier was nerfed, but also buffed a little bit. Like it was, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. That is a lot of carriers. Holy hell.
Yeah. The thing is like, I don't know. I feel like Abducts would be particularly good against this because the Interceptors don't launch very quickly, and there's not, what
does he adapt them into, though?
Corruptors. Because there's no Void Rays to protect them.
How many Corruptors has he got?
None.
None.
Yeah, so I'm just... this is now going to be a compositional problem, but again, those Infestors seem to be what Silky's more focused on anyways.
Alright. Well, I mean, he can neural a bunch of these units and turn them against themselves, but how does he keep Infestors safe? Ooh, force a recall.
Fungal.
Yeah.
That Fungal does a lot of damage. So I feel like this is too many Infestors, but before anyone gets on my back, I know that for a time that Mass Infestor was the answer. So before anyone's like, you clearly didn't watch enough Scarlet games, I'm like, yeah, I know. But then when's the last time I've seen this actually work? Probably that Scarlet game at Kings of the North 2 years ago.
That's my favorite thing in the community, when people were like, you don't watch enough StarCraft. You didn't see this. I'm like, probably watch more than you.
It really is the worst thing, because it's so easy to have happen, which is why, at times when I'm, watching a WCS cast I'm not a part of, and I'm, maybe a little salty I wasn't a part of it, and I'm like, I would have known that. Stupid Maynard. I'm like, oh, wait.
Stupid Maynard doesn't know shit about shit.
Yeah, except that, he watched 20 other strategic decisions I didn't see, and he's going to one-up me in this other tournament. Okay, hold on. Just calm down there, ZombieGrub. Anyways.
Good times. It's a little bit of, she's just got to vent, guys. Gotta let it out. You can't keep it bottled inside.
Well, I could bring up, the old Apollo calling that Forax thing, and how Grotti, I think, was one of the people who was like, I would have called it the same way if I was casting it.
Yeah, and people still talk about it 7 years later. Is it really that good? Yeah. There's been a lot of really good calls in StarCraft 2 commentary over the last, decade. But, yeah.
Anyways, so there's been no fight, as they both are very terrified of each other's armies, and it's the way it goes, right? Defender's advantage is a real thing. Whoever attacks generally puts himself in a worse position. They clump up. They are going on top of static defense. So you don't really want to be that person. But Tempests, finally making their way forward, are going to be a great tool to force Silky's hand.
Yeah, I'm sure. Tempests gonna start plucking those overlords out of the skies. Why having oracles with this army is still important. Is why the oracle is good all game long for Protoss. Because it has the ability to tag those tempests or the infestors or the vipers or anything, and then giving those giving the tempests that extra bit of range and safety. Use that extra vision.
I feel like Silky, again, his army, we'll see what happens there. I won't comment too much more on it, but there is perhaps a lack of just harassment for both sides. It really is all down to these engagements, and since they're both banking a lot from it, oh, those are really good Fungals and Interceptors.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think that Fungal's that great against Interceptors, but look how many died just from that stacked Fungal there, and the Interceptors are stacking up a little bit. Getting some Fungals on these carriers. The Broodlord's coming forward to try and catch those ground units. The Infestors going for the big Neurals, and this is it for Silky. He turns and fights. He feels like now is the time. The Corruptors are pretty high in count as well. Is this the moment for Silky to cut through puCK's army?
I don't know. I don't think so. The Infestors really didn't last long. Unfortunately, there's still too much DPS there, and puCK might have even been focus firing them down, so... on top of that, Corruptors weren't necessarily focus firing one individual carrier. I believe a lot of them got like weak, but not even into their hull damage, and things did not turn out perfectly. Maybe second round will go better.
I think that people have told me as well, like in, you know, I've learned over several casts, several games, that carriers suck against other carriers. They're not so great against each other as well, so he did turn and fight and just sort of let the main move. There's that target fire. The Corruptors now pouncing on one carrier at a time, and they're actually doing tons of damage.
Oh my god,
here.
oh my god, no. No, 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 oh my god! Oh, the Raptors are so close to dying. That actually works,
They
though.
are, but they're also picking up a lot of carriers.
Can't believe that worked.
Oh my god.
Did it, though? Wait, it didn't work. Just did it work? Well, it's better than expected.
Yeah, I mean, he's done enough damage to puCK's army that puCK might think about retreating here, and I think he's pulling back. He's killed a hatchery, he's done a lot of damage, but, you know, in the meantime, Silky took a base to the north-hand side. His worker count's still better than puCK's. His economy is still okay, but his bank isn't very good. So I guess that's the biggest weakness right now for Silky.
Well, he had to replace 80 army supply once, and then trying to replace it again now. It's gonna deplete even a big bank. I really like that he got this right side base. He could easily get this corner one, too. They have not had harassment. I mean, puCK went for its Dark Templar, Dark Shrine, there we go, a while ago.
A Dark Templar tower?
It's close enough. But only just now do we see some DTs making their way forward as puCK, you know, probably realizes, like, oh, okay. That's something I can do, and it's going to be rather effective. Only Fungal's here to reveal them. Oh, I hate the Spore Crawler.
And some overseers.
Oh, yeah. Those things. Hey, they weren't killing it that fast.
Don't watch enough stock.
Oh, well, this base is a goner.
Yeah, that is a dead hatchery. Well, this army is pretty rough. Well, the Archons are actually a big deal as well. Do tons of damage. Great meat shield here for the broodlings. They'll cut through those broodlings. And those High Templar for those storms in case the Bowler Corruptor comes up. You know, the units in StarCraft 2 do stack up quite a bit, so storms are extremely powerful.
Yeah. Now with the Archons on the ground, those Corruptors that barely lived at the last engagement will definitely not live this time. By the way, guys, like with the Infestor meta that we saw for a little while against this composition, it was also behind a ton of stack defense, which is definitely missing.
Burrowed, which you can't anymore.
Yeah, definitely true. Definitely true. No, Parasiticus will be burrowed cast, can it?
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, the Fungal burrow.
puCK's doing a very good job of keeping tabs of this Infestor army with those Oracle Revelations. So it's tough for Silky to get that. You know, as soon as he moves forward with those Infestors for the Neurals, puCK just pulls back, or you know, gets a feedback something.
Yeah, it's not being very efficient for Silky. It's a slow chip away, but it is working out in puCK's favor. He's also expanding out to the bottom left since he's controlling this area anyway.
Yeah, Silky doesn't really have the gas to make what he needs if things go badly for him. What was he storming there?
The broodlings?
Ground? Oh, the broodlings, okay.
I guess, yeah. Actually, speaking of ground, we had lurkers that, again, still no upgrade for them, but like they can't help on a main engagement. They can take out they could be the brood lords, is what I was bringing up earlier, especially if they have adaptive talons. Another thing for the air army to target down. So I'm not saying it was a obvious misplay, but they are. I mean, that's a lot of supply to be used for extra defense.
Spore Crawler's, helping against these interceptors a little bit, and this might be a position where Silky wants to try and fight him with all his static defense and lurkers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yes, and Overseer is still offering some detection. I think puCK's maybe missing a mothership, but other than that, his army is extremely deadly.
Good point. That would be a little more annoying to deal with. Once again, Fungal's off of the interceptor is really effective, but it's really hard to catch them with enough Fungals. I don't know if it's 2 or 3. I've never kept track of it, but
I think it's 2.
I want to say 2 as well. But it's really hard to get all of the same ones twice. And you can see that they still have a decent number.
Some Lings get on top of those High Templar for a second there, and I dared to believe, I dared to dream. But then puCK just hits A left click and the Lings go away.
Yeah. The Lurkers were kind of helping, though. They took out a lot of Archons and might have chewed into the High Templars if he got a little closer. So I still think that they would be better used in the main engagement. Oh well. Again, Fungals, no feedback? Not quick enough on it?
Nope. She gets a High Templar for free there, but unfortunately Silky needs to get a bunch of things for free to take a fight very well. Like he just is a big army supply deficit. puCK's got much better upgrades. I mean, Silky's got 3-2 and he's flying units, and he does have ground. His ground upgrades haven't really been looked at for a while. He's not making really ground units anymore, except for spellcasters. So yeah, it's just Silky needs to take a couple really good fights here, or a couple, one really good engagement. If he could just somehow get the dream neurals on this army of puCK, I just find it tough to find a way for Silky to beat this army and get puCK off the map. I mean, puCK's taken the whole left side as well. Every base on Parasite's been taken by both players.
Yeah, weirdly enough, they both were able to get those kind of even quickly. Unfortunately, it's so weird, because I know there's other games where I'll watch the Zerg player being in the dominant position and be like, yeah, Protoss, what do they do against this? But usually when you see the engagements not work out once or twice, they just don't ever work out. You see some Fungals that look amazing, but are they really? They're barely getting into the hull damage with the help of the Corruptors. It looks like Silky is just kind of diving forward here a bit desperately.
Yeah, goes for those it goes for those neural parasites. A lot of the interceptors have actually died here, and the carriers turn and fight, but there's not enough of them, and he's just using whatever infestor energy he has left to drop out some infested Terrans to help out, and doesn't look like it's going very well for Silky at all at any point in that last engagement. And puCK gets the game 1 here, and that was just game 1, almost 30 minutes.
Yeah. Parasite, thank you.
Good old Parasite.
That was a really weird game for Silky, though. I can't say to what he usually plays, but for instance, there are players who would certainly wish to have stronger mid games, especially the Zerg players. Maybe they usually even win the game based off the mid game. And the position that Silky put himself in was that he couldn't even try. He did the Roach thing, he did the early Ling thing, and he was constantly making up for that. So the next game, pacing-wise, should look different. And it's not going to be Parasite either, so there might be a little less inclination to even do games like that. But puCK certainly had a handle. Silky was kind of grasping at some silly straws. That worked out surprisingly well. He's grasping at silly straws when he goes Mass Infestor. It worked at one point, but those were different maps even kind of became an issue when that was like 2 years ago. Oh my god, what was that map that it always came down to the bottom middle base where the Zerg player and Protoss would butt heads over it, and so you'd have a high ground versus low ground thing. It's not Overgrowth. It doesn't actually matter, but the point is you would just see a lot of stacked defense with that and slow sieges that could either go either way, and that was with Burrow Fungal. So Burrow was even more deadly, and it's just not something you see work very often anymore.
Not anymore. It's been a hot minute.
What does work against it, though? I'm trying to think. When did I last see a Zerg win that position?
It feels like maybe Infestors aren't the right choice. Maybe just getting a lot more Corruptor Viper out, perhaps?
I think so. A lot of Zerg players are very hesitant to go Vipers, but for the same reason that they might be hesitant to go Infestors, because feedback's good, even though feedback was nerfed. So it rarely kills units now, I think, is the difference maker. I don't know exactly the numbers, guys. I'm sure you can bring it up, but basically they wanted to make it so it was no longer an instant snapback. Oh, you ran forward for 1 second, I guess you're dead. But regardless, they still seem a little hesitant, but abducts do seem to be the better way to go. You kind of maneuver around some of those positions, or they're going down to the ground, down to low ground, you're going up on the other side, and you cross over the middle, so the High Templars aren't in range. Like, that's when we usually see good trades. So I think I'm with you there. I think Viper's better option for a spellcaster nowadays.
Yeah, it feels like such a strong late game unit against pretty much everything. I can't think of a situation where the Viper isn't that great. I guess if like if you're up against Mass Marines, maybe they're not that great, but they are pretty fantastic.
Yeah, they're pretty good. How close are we to a qualifying match?
Battlefy runs a little slow for me. It could be my distance between my country and where the servers are for Battlefy.
Could be.
I'm gonna refresh and have a look.
It is, so this is the winner of this faces the winner of War and Wib, and then that will be the this will be the, hold on. So not the next match, but the one after the next match is a qualifying match. There we go.
Oh god, I just found the button that makes the bracket full page. Thank God.
Oh, you didn't find that? Nope, oops.
No, I just found it now.
You can also.
I felt like I was peering through a keyhole into this bracket.
You can also press show completed rounds or hide completed rounds.
Oh my God, ZombieGrub. Where have you been all my life? It's a question I've been asking myself like 3 or 4 years. Jeez.
I'm glad I could help. So we had a couple donations.
Oh.
Which is great for you too. So last we had Kedgon with a tier 1 sub. Then we had Keegan Krennic donate $20. USA here. Some Cali love for you too. Thank you very much. Super Mario IC2 just now resubbed, or prime sub, sorry. So new sub. And then Quasi Evil donated $10. Thanks for the great casting, guys. Much appreciated, y'all. It's good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Very sweet of you. Getting ready for the third game, or the second game here between Silky and puCK. Excuse me, that was just one game.
Cerulean Fall.
At least it ain't Parasite.
At least it ain't
Let's
Parasite.
see what Silky's plan is here. He kind of like flip-flopped around a little bit. He's like, oh, I'm going to go for, a Roach Nydus attack, and I'm going to go for Lurkers, and I'm going to go in a Hive Spire, I'm going to go to this, and it's flipping around. Neural. It feels like the game plan was sort of being quite reactive against what puCK was doing, which, and puCK had a very clear goal of just getting to that certain point of the game and amassing a certain unit and just going to overwhelm with just too much power.
I really feel that the pacing's going to be different, but we might still see some attempts at an early win for Silky, because again, he tried it twice last game, didn't work out. Oh, I didn't enable sound. In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, it is Silky.
And in the top right, it's currently up in the series, this is puCK.
Okay, then. He's cannon rushing, and he has the Forge on the high ground, so it is going to be a little more committed than what maybe some of you might know if you were around StarCraft a couple years ago. It's on the high ground. It usually means they're going to dedicate to shield batteries and a robo.
Mm-hmm. This is actually what I would consider an amazing cannon rush map, but we'll see what he does here.
I thought he turned around. Well, he did turn around with one probe.
He did turn around, yeah.
Because it's a pool first, he might just decide not to do it at all, but that's really awkward. He actually canceled his Forge, which was, what, halfway done?
Mm-hmm.
That's really weird. And now he doesn't have a low ground wall off. Ooh, I don't know about this.
Yeah, this really does make him... I mean, the fact that he's going pool first not only delays the... or makes him think twice about the cannon rush, it also means that if Silky decides to make an early, handful of lings, puCK's delayed gateway, lack of wall in, late natural, like, it's could go badly for him. If Silky makes more than a couple lings. He might only just make a couple.
Yeah, well, Silky doesn't know what puCK was going to do, so...
Exactly, yeah. It's hard to know.
It ends up working somewhat okay here. Silky's going to see it and be like, well, should I try it? I mean, it's still a ways away from being a complete wall off. That lack of pylon on the low ground plus the non-starter gateway, like, that's a decent amount of time.
Got Zealot first here from puCK, and no surprises there. He needs to get something out. Can't wait for that Cybercore to make a unit.
No.
Just, Silky's not... Silky's actually going very greedy here. He's going for a pretty quick third hatchery. He's only made 2 lings. So...
Okay.
Caught in a pylon and a probe as well. Silky having a accidentally amazing early game.
Yeah. Yes, he is. He might have had some inclination that it was going to be a cannon rush, so kudos on the pool first, but yeah, finding that pylon's really nice. Not only did he see a potential opening for lings, but he also, flip side, he could have seen that, okay, so you can't attack me. Like, you're not going to move forward with Zealots. So that MX core being delayed as it is means that not even a single Adept will run across the map, much less any warp gate potential. That's a longer time for Zerg to feel comfortable against Protoss. And again, also Stargate being late, so on and so forth. So nice stuff. Nothing's going to be able to kill the Overlord either. So he's going to know the exact timing of the Oracle, and he really can just drone. Only 1 Adept coming forward here.
Yeah. 1 Adept's not super scary. Silky's just got Queens and Lings for defense, and that's all he really needs. puCK's getting a 2nd Adept out, obviously some pretty heavily delayed Stargate, rather, really heavily delayed. So, and then, like we just mentioned, completely scouted. This feels like Silky's got everything that he wants in the early stages of this game. I mean, losing that drone kind of sucks. But...
Yeah.
Oops. Another drone. This Adept is doing more drone damage than I thought it would, but... oh well. I'd still say Silky in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I think so. That definitely was the hiccup that shouldn't have happened, but back into droning. A couple of Spore Crawlers, don't really need one at the 3rd base if he has an extra Queen, which he is building one right now. Until the 2nd Oracle pops out anyways, which he has eyes on. There's still nothing to kill this Overlord. So full scouting information, nod to the gas timings, the natural 2. Not that I think puCK is the type of player to go for too many 2-base all-ins, and not a weirdo player to go for 1 off the back of a Stargate, which is rather rare nowadays. I mean, when's the last time I saw a Stargate just to build a Phoenix and then goes into like a Twilight Council all-in? It's been a while.
God, I can't even think of it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we had some bits.
Oh, some bitty boos.
Yeah, bitty boos. Thank you. Where's the Annie key for the 600 bits?
Wow.
Cheers.
600 Australian dollars.
Yeah. Basically.
Damn. Can almost afford a coffee.
Lair was not the fastest, but it didn't have to be. So makes a lot of sense. Gas is now being taken. So if you're going to look to be going up to perhaps just Ling Baneling Hydra. If you don't see a Roachborn by now, then I feel like you just skip it. I don't know. I'm not... Unless it's Cyril, I'm really not a fan of roaches. So he does slap down a Roachborn, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's like, if I feel like Ling Bathing Hydra, even with the slight Hydra nerf, is still a more complicated thing to defend against. I don't play much Protoss, this is totally just me looking down, but in my opinion, that's the case, unless you're really good with roach timings and using them almost like Lings, which only a few people can really do. But that Roach Worm might be for safety, might actually be Roach Hydra composition because there's no Bailey nests. Okay, so be it. He did...
He's getting +1 attack range, so he'll have those upgrades for Roaches and for Hydras.
Yeah. Well,
you kind of need a meat field of some variety.
True. And he did go for Lurkers fast last game, so that might be something he's looking towards again here.
Just 1 slow Zealot walking across the map. Gets a drone kill. Wow.
It's 2, man.
2 drone kills?
It's 3. Oh, so close.
That's worth it. Why not?
Yeah, it's not gonna help out very much otherwise.
Getting some laser beams, not the biggest of deals.
Laser beams.
Yeah, freaking laser beams, man.
He's really starting to add up the kills. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Wait!
Catch it. Nice. Yay! All right. Nice pick off there from Silky, getting rid of one of those oracles. If puCK got out of there with all that damage and he got away free and easy, there just wouldn't be any justice in this world.
Decent number of drone kills. Phoenix is going to find a 3rd Overlord as well, so pretty worthwhile there. Or not. Transfuse goes in. Nice save of those queens on the left side.
Yeah, so seeing pretty much Ling Hydra here from Silky. Yeah, it looks like the Roach Worm was just for safety. It's well, okay, now there's roaches on the way. I was going to say there's a meat shield missing here for Silky, but the Hydras on their own just not super great. He's making some Dropper Lords. Oh,
okay.
baby.
Seems to be what's, you know, the second path to the late game, to the mid-late game, whatever you want to call it. It's like you either go lurkers or you go into these drops and try and really pull your opponent apart. When you're on 4 base 70 drones, you can take a couple of losses here and there. Maybe the Overlords don't work out, maybe roaches die off to the left side, and you can continue doing it, hopefully beat down your opponent, or alternatively just use it as buying time. I mean, he could threaten this all damn day long, and puCK keeps falling for it, and behind it he's actually going into, well, in this case, lurkers are on the way rather quickly once again, but maybe even an infestation put along the same time, because I think that's what he did last game.
Silky's getting everything again. We'll see if it pays off for him. Big drop towards the main base, and if he's trying to draw the attention of puCK to the left-hand side of this third, he's like, and here I am, this is me, I'm over here. And it does work, puCK starts moving on over, but he also has his army still nicely positioned here for this drop of Silky, and with Storm and Immortals in tandem, he is absolutely going to demolish this army on the ground.
Some nice stack defense. If there's a couple of Immortals over here, it'd be rather perfect. And Silky, okay, I was gonna say, he doesn't have to run away from the charge lots. He probably is figuring, bad move command. He probably F2'd right there.
Ooh, yeah, I think that might have been an F2 there. Or maybe they're still in the same hockey group of the Overlord units.
Bad stuff there. That was probably going to be stalled, but it shouldn't have been units lost. You know, like they just leave and they don't come back because puCK was starting a split.
No, Swarm hosts. No, what?
Wait, no, that's got to be a mistake.
That's got to be 3 of them though. That's expensive.
Oh no, he's making more. I was like, that's an expensive mistake. Okay then.
It's just like game 1, or actually even more of an exacerbated problem from game 1. Silky is doing absolutely everything that Zerg has, and trying to make it work. So he's going for absolutely every single thing except for like an Ultra Cavern. but he's switching gears and changing things up so much that he's trying to keep puCK chasing his tech switches. But puCK has a very clear idea in mind, and it's just to amass a very big Immortal Gateway Hive Templar army, which pretty much poops on everything that Silky's trying to do here at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Swarm Host swap. Swarm Hosts feel like they're only really quite good in this matchup when you already have kind of things going your way, like either a normal game where nothing's really happened, or you know, you're already kind of pinned them off of a 4th base and they're struggling to get over there. Like puCK's on a 4th base with 150 supply, which is like a nice number to be at when you start dealing with locusts, because you can deal with them and have enough army left over to even try and find them and kill them. So I don't know. We'll see how the push and pull goes, because Silky is still going to find him out of position occasionally.
Oh, he started off all right, getting a handful of probes there. Silky, once again, has a pretty beastly economy and is going for Hive and Spire, still making Swarm Hosts. But again, you know, if you try and get everything, then you don't have a whole lot of everything. He's like a jack of all trades right now. He's not a specialist in any kind of unit kind of type, so he has sort of a mishmash of different tech and different units, and as a result, his army is actually kind of weak, even though he has more army supply.
Yeah, especially when the Locusts are on cooldown, it's really not that impressive.
Yeah.
Lots of cancels had to go down. That was kind of expensive loss there in the middle of the map. It is an army that's easily dealt with when the Locusts expire. In fact, the Locusts, if they're not careful, could be stormed on their way to targeting down in a unit or two.
And yeah, that's, I mean, as a Protoss, splash damage is how you deal with Locusts. Generally having some Zealots to be able to tank them while you storm them as well. So puCK kind of has what he needs, and if things go super dire, he can also recall. Here come those Locusts. This is actually probably the best concave that Silky can ask for here. And again, puCK just sort of stutter steps on those Locusts and isn't really actually storming them too much. He's just sort of A-moving and killing them all.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't like a perfect execution, but he probably just looked at the situation, went, you know what, I can do this anyways. So he didn't have to run away, and he didn't have to use all his storms on his Locusts. Not that he was running out of storms anytime soon. Still with a lot left over as he finds the heart of the army. The Locusts, 2 of them, I guess, were off of cooldown. Even warping in on top of the Swarm Host, so those are going to start dying.
Yeah, it just feels like Silky punished for trying to go down too many paths here. puCK's, losing his observer. Oh boy.
All the Locusts went on those Zealots. That's not helpful.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate miscontrol there from Silky. Like, he gets the charge lots, sure, but puCK's just like, oh, that's cool. I'll just come down here and kill the rest of your stuff.
Yeah, he did kind of move into the Locusts, so I don't really care, but it wasn't enough anyways. Still a lot of Immortals left over, still some Storms, and the War Prism's still alive too, which now Silky going for Mutas feels a little bit desperate You know, he wanted to go for a Great Aspire, but was losing control of the game. It could take out the War Prism, and it could take out this army. There's only one Archon, but you need like 20 Nydus.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see how he goes here with his handful of Nydus. They don't have any upgrades, but they're diving.
And dodging, they're weaving. The War Prism
nice macro.
needs Warp and Stalkers. There we go, and that's why you need a few more mutas than what he currently has. Not gonna work out. GG.